Imagine, for a moment, that your brain is not just a collection of neurons firing in predictable patterns. Imagine instead that it is a broadcasting station, one that sends out thoughts, ideas, emotions, and intentions like invisible signals into the vast field of consciousness that surrounds us all. This is the central premise of The Brain as a Broadcasting System, a book that invites us to radically rethink how our minds interact with the world and how we shape reality, not just through action, but through thought itself. The author begins with a profound question: what if your thoughts don't stay locked inside your skull? What if they are shaping your experiences, your relationships, even the events that come into your life? This isn't just a metaphor, it's a fundamental shift in how we view the mind. Rather than seeing the brain as a container of consciousness, the book encourages us to see it as a transmitter, a projector, a broadcaster. And just as a radio station influences the airwaves with the music it plays, so too do we influence the mental airwaves with the frequency of our thoughts. When we understand this, everything changes. We begin to see that our habitual thinking patterns are not passive. They are active forces. If we constantly broadcast fear, anger, or scarcity, those signals not only affect our internal state but subtly color our interactions, our decisions, and the way others respond to us. We begin to attract, without knowing it, situations that match the frequency we're transmitting. The book delves deeply into the idea that our minds operate like both receivers and transmitters. This means we don't just send out thoughts, we also pick up on thoughts and emotions from others. Haven't you ever walked into a room and felt tension without a word being spoken? Or found yourself inexplicably anxious after spending time with someone who's chronically worried? That's not coincidence, it's resonance. We are tuning forks for one another, vibrating sympathetically with the frequencies around us. But here's where the power lies: if the brain can broadcast, then we can choose what to broadcast. The author emphasizes the profound responsibility and opportunity we each have to choose our inner frequencies. Through intention, meditation, and awareness, we can train our minds to broadcast signals of hope, courage, peace, and love. These are not just pleasant states, they are powerful energies that ripple outward, subtly influencing the field of reality itself. One of the most powerful ideas in the book is the distinction between conscious thought and habitual broadcasting. Many people think positive thoughts once in a while but spend most of their time broadcasting doubt, complaint, and criticism. This inconsistency weakens the signal. It's not enough to think good thoughts in bursts, we must cultivate a consistent inner tone, like a station that's always playing uplifting music, no matter the time of day. To make this shift, the author offers simple yet powerful practices. One is the broadcast check-in, pausing several times a day to ask, what am I broadcasting right now? Is it stress, judgment, resentment? Or is it clarity, kindness, and trust? This self-inquiry isn't meant to judge, but to empower. By becoming aware of our inner signal, we can consciously shift it. Another profound insight from the book is the concept of mental tuning. Just as a radio can only receive the stations it's tuned to, so too are we limited or expanded by our mental tuning. If you're constantly tuned to a channel of fear, you'll miss the signals of possibility, joy, and intuition that are broadcasting all around you. But tune to a frequency of gratitude, and suddenly, new ideas, solutions, and connections begin to appear, almost as if by magic. This magic, the author explains, is the natural result of alignment. When our thoughts align with our deepest truths, love, creativity, service, we enter into harmony with the greater field of consciousness. Things begin to flow, life becomes more synchronistic, we start meeting the right people, finding ourselves in the right places, and receiving insights at just the right moments. Not because we're lucky, but because we're tuned in. The book doesn't shy away from real-life applications of these ideas. It tells the story of a man who had struggled for years to find meaningful work. Despite having the qualifications, he kept encountering rejection and failure. When he began practicing the broadcasting concept, he realized that although he said he wanted success, internally he was broadcasting fear of failure, self-doubt, and unworthiness. Day by day, he began shifting his signal, affirming his value, visualizing success, and aligning with the frequency of contribution and confidence. Within months, doors that had long been shut began to open. It wasn't magic, it was resonance. Another moving story is of a woman whose relationship with her teenage daughter had become strained. They barely spoke, and when they did, it ended in conflict. Through the lens of broadcasting, the woman saw that she had been broadcasting frustration and control, even when her words seemed neutral. She began silently sending thoughts of acceptance, love, and curiosity, no demands, no manipulation, just pure intention. At first, nothing changed. But slowly, the tone between them began to soften. The daughter opened up, conversations deepened, healing happened, not through force, but through frequency. These stories underline a vital truth. People don't just respond to our words, they respond to the energy beneath them. And that energy is what we broadcast. One of the most spiritual insights of the book is the idea that the brain is not the source of consciousness, it is a conduit. Just as a television doesn't create the show but merely displays it, our brains don't create consciousness but channel it. The real source, the broadcasting tower, so to speak, is a higher field of awareness, what some might call the soul, the higher self, or universal intelligence. When we quiet the noise of habitual thinking, we begin to receive clearer transmissions from this higher source. This is where intuition comes in. The author describes intuition as a higher frequency broadcast, a whisper from the deeper part of our being. But to hear it, we must tune out the static. That static is our fear, our doubt, our overthinking. Through stillness, meditation, and intentional thought, we clear the channel. And when we do, we begin to live not just from the brain, but through it, allowing our higher self to guide the way. The book ends with a hopeful and empowering message. Each of us is already broadcasting, every moment of every day. The question is, what message are we sending into the field of life? Is it one of division or unity? Of fear or love? Of limitation or possibility? You are more powerful than you've been taught. Your thoughts are not small or meaningless. They are signals. They are seeds. They ripple out into the world in ways you may never fully see, but they matter. And perhaps most beautifully, the more we consciously choose to broadcast love, compassion, and purpose, the more we become aligned with who we truly are. Not just transmitters of noise, but channels of wisdom, healing, and light. So, as you move forward, remember, you are a station. You have the ability to shift your frequency at any moment. What you focus on, you amplify. What you believe, you begin to project. And what you consistently project, you begin to live. Let your mind become a sanctuary of calm. Let your thoughts become instruments of peace. Let your brain become a sacred transmitter, not of fear, but of hope. Not of doubt, but of clarity. Not of conflict, but of harmony. The airwaves are waiting. Tune in, broadcast wisely,